about 4.9.2 layouts, the calendar icon. Basically, we gotta make this somehow look like this. Okay, and how did this even come to be? Well, let's take a look at our body. We just have a P class and its calendar, and in it, it's a 7. And we have this M. What does M mean? M means emphasis, which means italicized. So if I just write my name and I run my code, we see that it's just italicized there. But when it's empty, we don't want anything there because obviously there's no writing there. We're just going to use this to be able to refer to it. Now, let's run our screen again. What happens if I put 2 of these? If I run my code again, run this code, you're going to see that there's now there's 4 of these rectangular things over here. Okay, but what about these circles? Where do they come from? Okay, so that all comes from our CSS. All right, let's go over our CSS so we can understand it. This is our dot calendar. Let's run our code again now that I eliminated the double M emphasis tags. And we see that calendar is from the top. What's an M? So if I go 1M and I run it from the top, this is just a way to measure distances like pixels or 1M. From the left, if we go from 1 to 2, we're going to see that it's going to move to the side from the left. Padding the top, that's just the amount of padding at the top. If I say 50, you're going to notice that there's a lot more space between the 7 and the top. This the background is of our 7, background of our background color of our paragraph right there. The size of our font. The border radius tells us whether it's round or not. We'll use that later. And that's basically it. Let's undo everything. Run our code. All right. Now, what's this calendar M block part? The emphasis part that we saw. Well, we saw that it's a block, font size of 15 pixels. Background color. That's why when we had a background color, when we put words in there, the background was like this blue color. And our writing was white. And the font size was 15. And that just tells me what the writing would be. It's really no use for it right there. But anyway. Now here, calendar before and calendar after. What does this refer to? Well, if I comment out my section and I run my code, we see that that's where the dots come from. So let's take a look at that. So content, we have a content attribute and we put nothing. If I put A, B, C and I ran my code, it'd just be A, B, C. But if I put nothing, I ran my code, well then it's just whatever is put here. If I put float left, I put 80 pixels as my width, you're going to see that these dots expand. And if I put the height, just changes it as well. My Z index is 1 and my border radius is 10, which makes it rounded. But if I switch it to 0, you notice they're just going to be squares. Changing it back to 10, we notice that it's a dot. Now, what do we have to do? We have to move these dots somehow. And that's, please move the before and after elements of the calendar element in a proper way that they can be placed just like the picture. If you don't make the display absolute, oh, I guess I could have made that more, I can say position, absolute. If I run that code now, I'm going to notice that it changes. Number 1, absolute. It changed. Let's get rid of that again. Let's see what happens. First of all, when I run my code, now these dots take up a space. Okay, when I get the absolute, They no longer take place on my screen, but their positions are now relative to their, I can move them around. Okay, so left 11 pixel. From the right 11 pixel. Let's see what happens if I put 0 pixels from the right. That's the after. That's this one right there. It's right there. So Control Z, 11 pixel. Let's put it from the top. Let's move this from the top. Let's say 5 pixels. Let's see what happens. If I run my code, there we go. Top 5 pixels. So we moved it from 5 pixels from the top. So I think that's a good place to keep it. Now, what do we do for the calendar.m? This right here, if I comment it out, all of that, those rectangles disappear. So once again, it's the same thing. The content is nothing. It's float from the left. I have to put the position, absolute. And now let's run my code. You're going to notice that they're no longer going to take up space. Okay, and the Z index is 2. That means they lie on top. And this goes, let's put this one, the before starts from the left 13 centimeters, 13 pixels. We're not going to make it 13 pixels. We're going to make it, let's see what happens when you put 0 pixels, where it actually naturally lies. Okay, and let's say from the top, let's just say 10 pix or 5 pix. Let's run that. So let's go -5, see what happens. No, we're going to have to go, we're going to keep adjusting it basically until it's right on the spot, in the right spot. This thing too, we're going to move it. The key was to make the position absolute. After that, we can move it. Top, let's say minus 10. Minus 10 pixels. And we run that code. Let's go minus 13 pixels. Let's see what happens. I'm going to say minus even 16 pixels. And from the right, not 13, we're going to just make it 10. No, let's make it 5. Run that code. Let's make it another even less. 2. Change it to 3. And you just play around with it until you get it to exactly where you want it. Let's not say minus 16. Let's say minus 15 to bring it down a little bit. And let's take a look at that. Now we want it to be rounded, the edges to be rounded. How did we do that? Well, we want to put here, what is it called? Border radius. Border radius, and let's put 5 pixels or even 3 pixels. Let's see what happens. Unzoom, run my code, and that looks exactly the way we want it. And then we can change the background color. Whoops. Let's unzoom. We can change the background color to, I don't know, let's just say gray. You're going to change it to something similar, but you make it the same color if you want. Gray. And basically, that's how you do it. Now I have a good, nice calendar icon. All right, that's how you do this work. You move around the other shapes to make it exactly the same. I'll leave that up to you, but that's how you do it. Submit. Actually, fix it, then submit.